Food safety, guys, this is starting to be so critical, and I come at it from a public health background, but from a small farm advocate background too, because keeping our customers safe keeps our small farms safe, and food safety is something that we must think about on the farm. Next slide, please. There are these things called good agricultural practices, or GAP, and they are developed, I guess they're developed as a framework for farmers to follow. They're not perfect by any means, but it does provide a framework for food safety on the farm before the harvest. And I think it's really important that if you're going into farming to produce food for a customer, especially if it's produce, that you follow some sort of good agricultural practices to keep things clean, to keep records, not just for your safety's sake on the farm, but in case something does happen and you have records. Sort of a self-audit sort of system. The good agricultural practices provide a lot of information on proper post-harvest handling, but basically it's just keep things cool, keep things cold, and don't let disease bacterial population build up. Storage is critical, obviously, but I think one of the most important issues is communication with your customer. Because it's grown sustainably or organically doesn't mean that it's clean. And I think a lot of customers, they go to the farmer's market or they're CSA, they're like, oh, I know. Jeremy grew this cabbage, and they are great. They don't use any pesticides or anything like that. I'm just going to eat it. Which is, you know what, fabulous. However, there's a lot of issues.
Jessica,
yes.
I just want to interrupt and say that your sound is really garbled right now.
Okay.
We're not sure why that is, but I think a number of people are experiencing it.
Okay. Well, shoot. I apologize, guys. I don't know exactly why. Is it getting any better as I'm speaking?
It's definitely helpful to speak a little louder. There's a background echo that is going on, and I imagine it's not something that you can do about, but if you can speak louder, we'll be able to hear you because it started to get very faint.
Okay. Well, I will speak louder, and I just have a couple more slides. Again, I'm really sorry. I don't know why, but we'll keep trucking through here. If you are interested in GAP practices, check out the website there. It's gaps.cornell.edu, and you can get some more information from there. Next slide. So basically, guys, it's when you're looking at crop production, you want to look at it as a whole plan. There's a lot of things to consider, but knowledge is power. Know your crop, know your pests, know yourself, I think is really, really important. Go back to your whole farm goals and do what you love to do and do it well. There's different planting methods that you can utilize, different crop rotations that you can utilize, but just start out on the right foot and keep those records, because that's what will help you in the years to come. Next. Oh yeah, and lastly, have fun, because life is short, and our farms, our family, ourselves, it's what we make of it, and it's what we love to do as farmers. So make the plan, dream big, and get out and do it. And I think that's all I have, so I'll end the garbly gook right now, unless there's questions.
We did have one question, Jessica, that came in, and it says, what is the best way to leave your soil in winter? Areas that have been filled with the late season vegetables and don't have time to grow a winter It says areas that have been filled with late season vegetables and don't have time to grow a winter over cover crop. It seems like for us at least 50% of our soil ends up being bare over the winter.
Ooh,
So I think what they're saying is that they have late season crops and they're not able to get a cover crop in.
right. I understand the question. I think it's just a matter of planning. And it's okay to have crop residue as a cover as well. Like stubble and, like if you grow, oh, let's just look at this picture that's on the slide right now and all those flowers, they'll die back, and we would leave those in place, until this following spring. Because we wouldn't have time to plant anything else once those are all done. But you really want to focus on undersowing seeds is one method. Even though there's crops, doesn't mean that you can walk through or do the tractor or whatever scale you have and undersow a cover crop seed base, which means you would actually toss out seed and either drag a rake or tamp it down. And then once that main crop is done for the season, it would die back, and then that seed that you sowed, a month before would then kind of take root. Another option is to spread out mulch. Anything you can, get your hands on, leaves and compost and straw and hay, and just make sure that's covered. You don't want to leave bare soil, in my mind, ever. So whatever you can do to get stuff on it, a mulch or undersowing that those crops are really important. Leaving crop residue in place is a good option too.
Thank you. We have a couple more questions that have come in. One is from Laura, and it says, can you give us the definitions of cover crop and green manure, and what is the difference?
Sure. Yeah. Sorry, I know I was a little scattered during that part of it, but basically cover crops are plants that are grown as part of a rotation, that they're not necessarily grown for money, but their purpose is to protect and or build the soil. Now some cover crops are incorporated into the soil at different stages, mostly before they start to flower. But when these cover crops are incorporated into the soil, then we start calling them green manure, because they're adding nutrients and organic matter into the soil like manure would. But it's not manure, it's green living material. That's why we call it green manure. Does that make sense?
It sure does. Thank you. And then Dawn asks, what are your favorite flowers or weeds to bring in the best good bugs?
Oh boy. I can't choose, but if I was going to think about beneficials, then I would say, oh gosh, sunflowers do a fabulous job. Marigolds are the old standby. Zinnias and the alliums family have great flowers, but they're biennial, so you have to wait till that second year. We also plant a lot of calendula and poppies, but those all seem to bring in a really diverse population of beneficial insects. And sweet alyssum is another good one. But if you're planting, the one thing I do want to say about creating a farmscape or a diverse landscape to bring in the beneficials would be that you have to kind of plan out your beds appropriately, because you want these blocks of wonderful, beautiful plants and flowers all throughout your farm, not just on the border, not just in the middle, but you want them in either rows or like just create a little highway system so that the beneficial insects can get from bed to bed. So that's kind of what we look at, as what are the pathways to get all through the farm on these little beneficial highways that we create. Weed-wise, boy, I don't necessarily have a favorite weed, but I really do love lamb's quarter because I think it's a wonderful edible weed that goes really underutilized, and it grows really well in Idaho.
Great. Thanks. And then we just had one comment from Chris who says, chickens love our field bindweed, both the foliage and the seeds.
Ooh, good to know. Yeah, field bindweed it can be really tricky to manage. So I'm happy to know that chickens love it. And that's a really good reason to integrate livestock into your farm operation, isn't it?
Great. Well, thank you, Jessica. Those are all the questions that we had for tonight.
Thanks, guys. And the next slide does give a few resources for folks. I forgot that was there, but some students had requested some more information on via the evaluation and from last class. But if you're looking for different seed resources, we use Fedco Seeds. Territorial Seed and Irish Eyes are both seed companies that are really lovely. Again, Four Season Harvest by Elliott Coleman and the New Organic Grower by Elliott Coleman are great for crop production and crop management. And if you're looking for different resources for equipment, like drip tape or mulch or row cover, check out again Fedco or DripWorks online has a nice drip calculator that can help you figure things out. And then Farm Tech is just a big online resource that you can search through. But that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. Can we have the next slide? So we're going to go ahead and take a look at what's coming up in our timeline for the next couple weeks. Next slide, please. So we have the same pattern this week that we normally do. So we have the webinar survey that will be launched to you right after the webinar. As Jessica mentioned, we do look at the surveys, so please complete them. And that will help us guide our presentations and information to follow up and give you. The recorded webinar will be posted on the course website tomorrow and on YouTube. And you will see that we have assignments and the discussion forum on the course website. Friday, the week 6 readings and other assignments will be posted, and you'll receive the registration for the week 6 webinar. But week 6 actually takes place after the new year. So our next webinar will be on Tuesday, January 7th. And I had an incorrect date of January 8th in the webinar handout that you have. So please note that our next webinar is Tuesday, January 7th. So there's a couple week break from the webinar. We hope during this time that you have an opportunity to catch up on your reading and your assignments. And again, each of the assignments is designed to help you start on completing a section of your whole farm plan. So you might want to go back to the course website and look at the whole farm plan outline and see where you are in terms of taking your assignments and plugging them into that framework. If you have any questions, you can certainly email us over the break. We will be taking some time off, so we'll be on and off our email a little bit, but we will be checking it. And we hope you have a great holiday season, and